Have you ever had a big dream that genuinely excited you? Maybe starting a business, writing a book, getting in shape, or building the life you've always imagined? You think about it all the time. You can picture how amazing it'll feel when you finally get there. But when it's time to actually start, you just don't. You tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week. Before you know it, months have passed, and the dream is still there, but nothing has really changed. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. A lot of people look at this and think, I'm just lazy. But that's usually not the whole story. The truth is, you can be incredibly ambitious and still struggle to take action. Those two things aren't opposites. In fact, they often exist together. One of the biggest reasons this happens is because the bigger the dream is, the heavier it starts to feel. When you really care about something, it suddenly feels like every decision matters. Every first step has to be the right one. Every mistake feels expensive. So instead of simply beginning, your mind starts waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of yourself. But that moment rarely comes. So you wait. Not because you don't want it enough, because you want it so much. There's another reason people don't talk about very often. Our imagination is incredibly powerful. Sometimes just thinking about your future feels rewarding on its own. You imagine achieving your goals. You picture people congratulating you. You imagine finally feeling successful, confident, or free. For a few moments, your brain experiences those emotions almost as if they're real. And because imagining success feels good, it can quietly replace the discomfort of actually starting. It's strange, but the mind sometimes enjoys the destination so much that it keeps postponing the journey. Here's something even more interesting. Many ambitious people don't protect their dreams by working on them. They protect them by never testing them. Think about it. As long as your dream stays inside your imagination, it's perfect. It can't fail. It can't disappoint you. It can't prove you wrong. But the moment you take the first real step, everything changes. Now there's uncertainty. Now mistakes become possible. Now the dream has to face reality instead of living safely inside your mind. And for many people, that feels terrifying. So the brain quietly delays the beginning. Not because it lacks ambition, but because it's trying to protect something that feels incredibly important. There's also something else that often hides beneath all of this. Sometimes what looks like laziness is actually mental exhaustion. Not the kind where your body is tired. The kind where your mind never stops reminding you of everything you haven't done yet. Every unfinished goal sits quietly in the background. Every time you open social media, you see someone who seems further ahead. Little by little, your dream starts feeling less inspiring and more like a reminder that you're falling behind. Eventually, even small tasks begin to feel overwhelming. Not because they're difficult, because they're carrying the weight of every expectation you've placed on yourself. And over time, something subtle begins to happen. You stop saying, I haven't started yet. Instead, you start saying, maybe I'm just lazy. A temporary struggle slowly becomes part of your identity. The label follows you long enough that you begin believing it's simply who you are. But labels can be misleading. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones every single day. At first, the weight feels obvious, but after a while, you stop noticing it. You simply assume walking is supposed to feel this hard. Our minds can work the same way. Fear, perfectionism, self-comparison, the pressure to live up to your own expectations. They all add a little more weight, until standing still starts looking like laziness from the outside. But inside, something very different is happening. Maybe that's the real psychology behind having big dreams but low motivation. It isn't always about lacking discipline. Often, it's about caring so deeply that the possibility of falling short feels overwhelming. The dream becomes precious. The future starts feeling fragile. And without realizing it, your mind tries to protect both. Maybe understanding that changes the way you see yourself. Not because it suddenly makes everything easier, but because it reminds you that having low motivation doesn't always mean you lack ambition. Sometimes it simply means you're carrying a dream that feels so important, your mind is afraid of what might happen if it doesn't turn out the way you hoped.